Welcome back. Tonight we're exploring something you probably never think about: what your stomach does while you sleep. Most people assume digestion just stops when they close their eyes, but the truth is far more fascinating. Your stomach doesn't shut down at night, it transforms. It shifts from active digestion mode into something more rhythmical, more protective, almost like a nighttime maintenance crew for your entire digestive system. In this video we'll walk through 100 facts about your sleeping stomach, organized chronologically from the moment you finish dinner, through the deep hours of night, to the moment you wake up. We're going to see how your stomach navigates the evening transition, what it does during those long hours of darkness, and how it prepares itself for another day of digestion. Let's begin where your stomach's night begins, with evening and the transition into sleep. The evening shift. Circadian rhythms begin lowering overall gastrointestinal motility as evening approaches. Your stomach has an internal clock, and as the sun sets, that clock starts winding down. The muscular contractions that push food through your digestive tract begin to slow. This isn't a malfunction, it's purposeful. Your body knows that nighttime is coming and it's preparing for a different kind of work. Finishing dinner several hours before bed allows more gastric emptying before sleep begins. When you eat matters just as much as what you eat. If you finish dinner at 6 p.m. and go to bed at 10 p.m., your stomach has 4 hours to process that meal. Most of the food will have moved into your small intestine by the time you lie down. But if you eat at 9 p.m. and sleep at 10 p.m., that food is still sitting in your stomach when you go horizontal. Consistent meal timing supports stable circadian patterns of acid, motility, and hormone release. Your stomach thrives on predictability. When you eat dinner at roughly the same time each night, your stomach learns the pattern. It prepares acid secretion in advance. It coordinates hormone release. It synchronizes its internal clock with your eating schedule. Erratic meal times confuse this system. High-fat, spicy, or very large meals close to bedtime increase the stomach's overnight workload. A grilled chicken salad at 6 p.m.? Your stomach can handle that. A double cheeseburger with fries and hot sauce at 9 p.m.? That's a different story. High-fat foods take longer to digest. Spicy foods can irritate the lining. Large volumes stretch the stomach wall. All of this means more work overnight when your stomach is trying to shift into maintenance mode. Alcohol consumed in the evening can irritate the stomach lining and increase nocturnal activity. That glass of wine with dinner might help you relax, but it doesn't help your stomach. Alcohol is directly toxic to the gastric mucosa, the protective lining of your stomach. It causes inflammation, increases acid secretion, and can keep your stomach more active than it wants to be during the night. Late caffeine intake can delay gastric emptying and alter early night stomach behavior. Caffeine doesn't just keep your brain awake. It affects your stomach too. It slows the rate at which your stomach empties its contents into the small intestine. That evening coffee or late afternoon energy drink can still be influencing your stomach hours later when you're trying to sleep. Smoking in the evening raises acid secretion and impairs mucosal blood flow. Nicotine increases stomach acid production while simultaneously reducing blood flow to the stomach lining. Less blood flow means less oxygen, fewer nutrients, and reduced ability to repair damage. It's a double hit that makes your stomach's overnight work much harder. Erratic late-night snacking sends mixed signals to the gut's internal clock. Imagine trying to sleep while someone keeps turning the lights on and off. That's what late-night snacking does to your stomach's circadian rhythm. Your stomach expects a period of fasting at night. When you keep feeding it randomly, you disrupt the carefully timed hormonal and enzymatic patterns that should be guiding it into nighttime mode. Stress before bedtime raises sympathetic activity, delaying gastric emptying. When you're stressed, your body activates the fight or flight nervous system. This sympathetic activation tells your stomach to slow down or even stop. Digestion isn't a priority when your body thinks you're in danger. So that argument before bed, that work email you read at 9 p.m., that anxiety about tomorrow, All of it can leave food sitting in your stomach longer than it should. Lying down changes everything. Lying flat shortly after eating allows stomach contents to shift upward more easily. Gravity matters. When you're upright, gravity helps keep stomach contents where they belong. When you lie down, especially soon after eating, that gravitational advantage disappears. The contents of your stomach can now press against the lower esophageal sphincter, the valve between your stomach and esophagus. The lower esophageal sphincter begins to lose tone as sleep onset approaches. This valve is supposed to stay closed, keeping stomach acid where it belongs. But as you transition into sleep, this sphincter relaxes slightly. It's a normal part of the sleep process, but it also means your stomach contents have a better chance of refluxing upward, especially if there's still a lot of food in there. Gastric emptying slows as non-REM sleep begins to dominate. Once you fall asleep, your stomach shifts gears. The initial stages of sleep bring a noticeable slowdown in how quickly your stomach moves food into the small intestine. This is the beginning of the stomach's nighttime rhythm. Large or late meals are more likely to remain in the stomach for several hours overnight. If you went to bed with a full stomach, that food isn't going anywhere fast. Your stomach will continue working on it, but at a much slower pace. This is why late heavy meals often lead to that uncomfortable, overly full feeling when you wake up at 3 a.m. The hormonal transition. Nighttime melatonin secretion begins rising in response to darkness. Most people know melatonin as the sleep hormone, produced by the pineal gland in your brain. But your stomach also produces melatonin. As darkness falls and your brain starts releasing melatonin, your stomach follows suit. Melatonin released from gastric tissues starts modulating acid secretion. The melatonin in your stomach isn't just along for the ride. It has a job. It helps regulate how much acid your stomach produces. As melatonin levels rise, they help prevent excessive acid secretion overnight, protecting your stomach lining during this vulnerable period. Ghrelin follows circadian timing and may rise before habitual morning meals. Ghrelin is your hunger hormone and it operates on a clock. If you always eat breakfast at 7 a.m., your stomach will start releasing ghrelin around 6:30 a.m., preparing you to feel hungry right on schedule. This pattern is set during the night. The stomach does not shut down. It transitions into a slower, rhythmical mode. This is the key insight that ties all of these evening facts together. Your stomach doesn't turn off. It doesn't stop working. It simply changes its approach. From the aggressive, powerful contractions of active digestion, it moves into a gentler, more rhythmic pattern focused on protection and repair. And with that transition complete, your stomach enters the longest phase of its night, the deep sleep hours where maintenance and protection take center stage. Nighttime motility and contractions. We've followed your stomach through the evening transition, watching it slow down, adjust to darkness, and prepare for a different kind of night. Now we enter the heart of the night, those hours between midnight and dawn when most of us are deeply asleep, unaware of the complex choreography happening inside our bodies. Your stomach doesn't rest during these hours. Instead, it enters what we might call maintenance mode. A state where the priorities shift from breaking down food to protecting tissue, coordinating rhythms, and preparing for the day ahead. Let's explore what your stomach's motility, its movement patterns, looks like during these sleeping hours. The nighttime slowdown. Overall gastric motility is lower at night than during the day. This is one of the most fundamental facts about your sleeping stomach. During the day, your stomach contracts forcefully and frequently, churning food, mixing it with acid and enzymes, pushing it toward the small intestine. At night, these contractions become gentler, less frequent, more subdued. It's not laziness, it's strategy. Gastric emptying is slowest during non-REM sleep. Non-REM sleep is the deep, restorative sleep that makes up most of your night. During these stages, your stomach reaches its slowest rate of emptying. If there's food in your stomach when you enter deep sleep, it's going to stay there longer than it would during the day. Your stomach is prioritizing sleep quality and tissue repair over digestion speed. During REM sleep, gastric contractions can briefly increase. REM sleep is paradoxical. Your brain becomes active, your eyes move rapidly behind closed lids, and your muscles are paralyzed except for your diaphragm and, interestingly, some of your internal organs. During these REM periods, your stomach can suddenly become more active, with stronger contractions appearing briefly before settling back down when you return to non-REM sleep. The stomach alternates between quieter and more active phases overnight. Your night isn't one continuous state. You cycle through different stages of sleep, typically in 90-minute cycles. Your stomach follows along. When you're in deep non-REM sleep, it's quiet. When you shift into lighter sleep or REM, it picks up. This creates a wave-like pattern of activity throughout the night. The rhythm continues. The rhythmic gastric cycle continues at 2 to 4 contractions per minute. Even during the quietest parts of the night, your stomach never stops its basic rhythm completely. These slow waves are always present, electrical signals that ripple through the smooth muscle of your stomach wall. They're like a heartbeat for your stomach, maintaining basic tone and coordination even when there's no food to process. Contraction amplitude drops during non-REM sleep. It's not just that contractions become less frequent, they also become weaker. The force behind each squeeze diminishes. This makes sense when you think about it. Your stomach doesn't need to work as hard when it's focused on maintenance rather than digestion. Gentler contractions are sufficient to maintain blood flow and prevent stagnation without disrupting your sleep. Migrating motor complexes continue but move more slowly during sleep. These are fascinating patterns that occur between meals, waves of coordinated contractions that sweep through your stomach and small intestine, cleaning out any remaining debris and preparing for the next meal. They're sometimes called the housekeeper waves. During sleep, these waves continue their work, but at a more leisurely pace. Food remains longer in the stomach and upper intestine overnight. This extended transit time is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it means your stomach has more time to thoroughly break down what you ate. On the other hand, it means that late meals can still be lingering when you wake up, potentially causing discomfort or affecting your morning appetite. The blessing of reduced urgency. Fewer strong contractions reduce bathroom urges during sleep. Here's one benefit of your stomach's nighttime slowdown. You're less likely to wake up needing to use the bathroom. The reduced motility throughout your entire digestive tract means less pressure building up downstream. Your intestines, like your stomach, are in a slower mode, giving you the gift of uninterrupted sleep. When sleep goes wrong, fragmented sleep disrupts normal stomach motility timing. When you wake up repeatedly during the night, whether from stress, pain, noise, or sleep disorders, you interrupt the carefully orchestrated pattern of your stomach's nighttime rhythm. Each awakening can trigger a shift toward more daytime-like motility patterns, confusing your stomach about what it should be doing. Chronic insomnia can contribute to bloating and indigestion sensations. People with long-term sleep problems often report digestive issues, and this is one reason why. When your stomach never gets to complete its full nighttime cycle, when it's constantly being jolted between sleep and wake patterns, the result is often feelings of fullness, bloating, or discomfort. Your stomach needs consistent, consolidated sleep to do its job properly. The bigger picture. Think about what we've covered so far. Your stomach's nighttime motility isn't random. It's a carefully calibrated response to sleep. Deep sleep brings the slowest emptying and gentlest contractions. REM sleep brings brief increases in activity. The basic rhythm never stops, but it adapts to what your body needs most: consolidated, restorative sleep and the opportunity for tissue maintenance. This is why meal timing matters so much. When you eat late, you're asking your stomach to handle active digestion during the hours when it's programmed to slow down. You're creating a conflict between the demands of food processing and the demands of sleep. Your stomach will try to do both, but neither will be done optimally. And this is why sleep quality matters for digestion. When your sleep is fragmented, your stomach can't maintain its proper nighttime rhythm. The carefully timed slowdown gets disrupted. The coordination between sleep stages and motility patterns falls apart. The result is a stomach that's neither digesting efficiently nor resting adequately. But motility is only part of the story. While your stomach's muscular activity is slowing down at night, something else is ramping up: acid production. And that's where things get really interesting. Acid protection and reflux. We've seen how your stomach's movements change during sleep, slowing down and entering a more rhythmic pattern. But while the muscles of your stomach are taking it easier, there's another system that's surprisingly active during the night: acid secretion. Your stomach continues producing hydrochloric acid throughout the night, and understanding this nighttime acid production is crucial to understanding both how your stomach protects itself and what can go wrong. The nighttime acid peak. The stomach continues secreting hydrochloric acid even without food. This surprises many people. You might think that without food to digest, your stomach would stop producing acid. But acid secretion doesn't require food. It follows its own internal program. Your stomach produces baseline levels of acid continuously, food or no food. Acid production follows a circadian rhythm. Like almost everything else in your body, stomach acid production has a daily pattern. It's not constant throughout the 24-hour cycle. It rises and falls according to an internal schedule that's synchronized with your sleep-wake cycle. Gastric acidity often peaks late night to early morning. Here's the surprising part. Your stomach produces more acid during the late night and early morning hours than it does during the day. For many people, stomach acid production reaches its highest point somewhere between midnight and 3 in the morning. You're asleep, there's no food in your stomach, and yet your stomach is producing more acid than it did at dinner time. This acid peak supports antimicrobial defense. Why would your stomach do this? One reason is protection. Stomach acid is one of your body's most effective defenses against bacteria, viruses, and parasites. The nighttime acid peak helps ensure that anything potentially harmful that made it past your mouth and esophagus during the day gets thoroughly sterilized before moving into your small intestine. Parietal cell proton pumps remain active overnight. These are the cellular machines that actually produce stomach acid. Parietal cells in your stomach lining contain proton pumps, specialized proteins that push hydrogen ions into your stomach, creating hydrochloric acid. During the night, these pumps don't shut down. They keep working, maintaining that protective acid bath. Melatonin's protective role. Melatonin helps inhibit excessive acid secretion. Remember the melatonin we talked about earlier? The melatonin your stomach produces has a balancing role. While acid production increases at night, melatonin prevents it from going too high. It's a regulatory system. Acid rises for protection, but melatonin keeps it from rising so much that it damages your own stomach lining. Melatonin provides antioxidant protection to gastric tissues. Beyond regulating acid, melatonin acts as a powerful antioxidant in your stomach. During the day, the combination of acid, enzymes, and digestion creates oxidative stress, essentially cellular damage from reactive molecules. Melatonin helps neutralize these reactive molecules during the night, protecting your stomach cells from accumulated damage. The mucus barrier. Gastric mucus secretion continues through the night. Your stomach isn't just producing acid at night. It's also producing the protective mucus layer that shields your stomach lining from that acid. This mucus layer is gel-like, thick, and surprisingly effective. It's what keeps your stomach from digesting itself. Bicarbonate keeps the epithelial surface less acidic. Within that mucus layer, your stomach secretes bicarbonate, the same chemical in baking soda that neutralizes acid. This creates a pH gradient. On the luminal side, the inside of your stomach, pH might be 1 or 2, extremely acidic. But right at the surface of your stomach cells, buffered by bicarbonate in the mucus, pH is closer to 7, neutral. This is your stomach's clever compromise. Maintain killer-level acidity for defense while protecting your own cells. Prostaglandins support blood flow and mucus production overnight. These signaling molecules are crucial for stomach health. They stimulate mucus secretion, promote bicarbonate release, and maintain healthy blood flow to the stomach lining. During the night, prostaglandin activity helps coordinate the protective systems that keep your stomach safe from its own acid. Disrupted sleep weakens melatonin's protective effects. When you don't sleep well, melatonin production decreases. Lower melatonin means less acid regulation and less antioxidant protection. This is one mechanism through which poor sleep can lead to stomach problems. You're literally losing part of your stomach's protective shield. Nighttime acid suppression targets this natural acid peak. This is why medications like proton pump inhibitors are often taken at night. They're designed to counteract this natural nighttime rise in acid production, particularly in people with conditions like ulcers or severe reflux where that acid peak causes problems. The reflux problem. LES tone decreases further during REM sleep. The lower esophageal sphincter, that valve between your stomach and esophagus, relaxes even more during REM sleep than it does during non-REM sleep. This makes sense from an evolutionary perspective. Your body is conserving energy, but it creates a vulnerability. Intra-abdominal pressure changes can allow reflux. During sleep, changes in position, breathing patterns, and abdominal muscle tone create pressure fluctuations in your abdomen. When pressure increases, from rolling over for instance, it can push stomach contents upward against that relaxed sphincter. Fewer swallows occur during sleep. During the day you swallow constantly, not just when eating but reflexively throughout the day. Each swallow creates a wave of muscle contraction that pushes material down your esophagus. At night, swallowing becomes rare. This matters because swallowing is one of your main defenses against reflux. Saliva production drops significantly overnight. Saliva is slightly alkaline and helps neutralize any acid that does reflux into your esophagus. During sleep, saliva production plummets to a tiny fraction of daytime levels. Less saliva means less buffering capacity. Acid clearance from the esophagus is slower. If acid does reflux into your esophagus during sleep, it takes much longer to clear. During the day you'd swallow, saliva would neutralize it and esophageal contractions would push it back down. At night, with minimal swallowing and minimal saliva, that acid can sit in your esophagus for extended periods, causing damage. Reduced esophageal peristalsis prolongs acid exposure. Even the muscular contractions of your esophagus slow down during sleep. This compounds the problem: less swallowing, less saliva, and now slower muscle contractions. All of these factors combine to make nighttime reflux particularly damaging. Late, large meals increase intragastric pressure. The more your stomach is stretched by food, the higher the pressure inside it. High intragastric pressure, combined with a relaxed sphincter, is a recipe for reflux. This is why eating late is such a common trigger for nighttime heartburn. Practical protection. Elevating the head of the bed reduces reflux risk. Gravity still matters even during sleep. Raising the head of your bed by 4 to 6 inches. Putting blocks under the headboard posts, not just using extra pillows, creates enough of an angle that gravity helps keep stomach contents down where they belong. Reflux-related awakenings can fragment sleep. Here's the vicious cycle. Reflux disrupts sleep, and disrupted sleep worsens reflux. People wake up with heartburn, acid taste, or coughing. These awakenings interrupt the stomach's normal nighttime patterns, potentially leading to more reflux. It becomes a self-perpetuating problem. Understanding this nighttime acid landscape, the peak in production, the protective mechanisms, and the reflux vulnerabilities, helps explain why nighttime digestion can be so problematic for some people. Your stomach is managing a delicate balance, producing enough acid for protection and sterilization, while maintaining enough defense to protect its own tissues, all while trying not to let that acid escape upward into your esophagus. But acid and reflux are only part of the nighttime story. While these chemical battles are happening, your stomach is also engaged in something equally important: active repair of the day's damage. Repair, blood flow, and healing. We've explored how your stomach maintains acid production through the night and defends itself against that acid while managing the risk of reflux. Now we turn to one of the stomach's most important nighttime functions: repair. Every day your stomach endures an incredible amount of damage, and every night it works to fix that damage. This repair process is sophisticated, essential, and absolutely dependent on good sleep. Daily damage. Daytime eating and stress cause microscopic mucosal injury. Let's start by understanding what your stomach goes through during the day. Every meal exposes your stomach lining to acid, digestive enzymes, and potentially irritating foods. Even normal digestion causes tiny injuries to the mucosal surface. Cells get damaged, tight junctions between cells get weakened, small areas of inflammation develop. Add in stress, which increases acid and reduces blood flow, and the damage accumulates. Overnight fasting allows repair to take priority. This is why the overnight fasting period is so important. When your stomach isn't actively digesting food, when it doesn't have to produce massive amounts of acid and enzymes, when it can operate in that slower nighttime mode, it can redirect energy and resources toward repair. Fasting isn't just about giving your stomach a break. It's about giving it the space to heal. Blood flow is everything. Gastric mucosal blood flow supports healing. Blood carries everything your stomach needs for repair: oxygen, nutrients, immune cells, growth factors, and building blocks for new tissue. During the night, maintaining healthy blood flow to your stomach lining becomes a top priority. Without adequate blood flow, healing cannot happen. Adequate blood flow removes metabolic waste. Repair isn't just about bringing in new materials. It's also about clearing out the old. Damaged cells release inflammatory signals and metabolic waste products. Blood flow whisks these away, preventing them from accumulating and causing further damage. Melatonin increases mucosal blood flow. Here's another reason why nighttime melatonin is so important for your stomach. It doesn't just regulate acid and provide antioxidant protection. It also actively increases blood flow to the stomach lining. This is direct support for the healing process. The antioxidant defense. Antioxidant systems are more active during consolidated sleep. During the day, the combination of acid, enzymes, and digestion generates reactive oxygen species, essentially molecules that can damage cells. Your stomach has antioxidant defense systems to combat this, and these systems become more active during sleep, particularly during deep, consolidated sleep. They're like a nighttime cleanup crew, neutralizing the oxidative damage that accumulated during the day. Cellular turnover. Epithelial cells continue shedding and replacement. The surface of your stomach is lined with epithelial cells that are in constant turnover. Old cells shed into the stomach lumen and new cells move up from deeper layers to replace them. This process continues around the clock, but the rate and efficiency of replacement is enhanced during sleep when energy isn't being diverted to active digestion. Growth factors involved in healing are circadian regulated. Your body produces various growth factors, proteins that stimulate cell division, tissue repair, and wound healing. Many of these growth factors follow circadian patterns, with higher levels during specific parts of the night. This means your stomach's repair capacity isn't constant. It peaks during your sleeping hours. When repair fails, reduced melatonin slows healing of gastric lesions. Studies have shown that when melatonin levels are low, whether from poor sleep, artificial light at night, or melatonin deficiency, existing stomach lesions, ulcers, erosions, areas of inflammation, heal more slowly. Melatonin isn't just protective against new damage. It's actively required for efficient healing of existing damage. Chronic sleep deprivation increases inflammation and permeability. When you don't sleep enough, night after night, your stomach lining becomes more inflamed and more permeable. The tight junctions between cells weaken. The barrier function degrades. This means your stomach lining becomes more vulnerable to damage from acid, more susceptible to bacterial invasion, and less capable of protecting itself. NSAID-related microinjury requires overnight repair. If you take NSAIDs, medications like ibuprofen or aspirin, you're causing microscopic damage to your stomach lining. These medications interfere with prostaglandin production, which reduces mucus secretion and blood flow. The damage from each dose needs to be repaired before the next dose. Without adequate overnight repair, NSAID damage accumulates, eventually leading to erosions or ulcers. Stress hormones impair defenses. Sleep counteracts this. Stress triggers the release of hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones reduce blood flow to the stomach, decrease mucus production, and impair the immune response. Sleep counteracts these effects. During sleep, stress hormone levels drop, allowing your stomach's defensive and repair systems to function optimally. Synergistic healing. Acid suppression plus melatonin supports ulcer healing. For people with stomach ulcers, the combination of reducing excess acid with medications and maintaining healthy melatonin levels through good sleep and darkness at night creates the optimal environment for healing. Acid suppression alone isn't always enough. The repair mechanisms need to be functioning well too. Blood flow, mucus, and turnover are tightly coordinated overnight. These three systems, blood flow, protective secretions, and cellular renewal, don't work independently. They're coordinated through complex signaling pathways, hormonal systems, and circadian rhythms. During the night, this coordination reaches its peak efficiency. Blood flow increases exactly when and where it's needed. Mucus production maintains the protective barrier. Cell turnover replaces damaged cells with healthy ones. It's a symphony of healing. The long-term picture. Think about what this means over a lifetime. Every single night, your stomach goes through this repair process. Damage from the day gets fixed. Inflammation gets resolved. Cells get replaced. The protective barrier gets restored. Miss a few nights of good sleep and your stomach can probably handle it. Some repair still happens and the accumulated damage is minor. But what about missing good sleep regularly? What about years of inadequate sleep, where your stomach never gets quite enough time to fully repair? The damage starts to accumulate. Inflammation becomes chronic. The mucus layer thins. Cell turnover slows. Small areas of injury never quite heal before new injury occurs. This is how chronic stomach problems develop, not from a single catastrophic event, but from the slow accumulation of inadequately repaired daily damage. And it's not just about sleep duration. The quality of sleep matters too. Fragmented sleep, even if you're in bed for 8 hours, doesn't provide the same consolidated repair time as continuous sleep. Light exposure at night suppresses melatonin, removing one of your stomach's key protective factors. High stress, even during sleep, keeps cortisol elevated and blood flow reduced. This is why sleep hygiene isn't just about feeling rested. It's about giving your stomach the environment it needs to heal. Darkness for melatonin production. Consistency for circadian coordination. Adequate duration for complete repair cycles. Low stress for optimal blood flow. All of these factors contribute to whether your stomach can successfully complete its nightly maintenance. We've now covered the mechanical aspects of your sleeping stomach, motility and contractions, and the chemical and cellular aspects, acid, protection, and repair. But there's another layer to this story. One that connects your stomach to your brain and even to the trillions of bacteria living in your gut. That's where we're going next. The gut-brain axis and microbiome. Your stomach doesn't work in isolation. It's part of a vast communication network that connects your digestive system to your brain, your immune system, and the enormous microbial ecosystem living in your gut. During sleep, these connections don't shut down. They continue operating, and in some ways, sleep is when these communication systems become most important. Let's explore how your sleeping stomach interacts with your brain and your microbiome. The gut-brain connection during sleep. The gut-brain axis remains active during sleep. The gut-brain axis is the bidirectional communication system between your digestive tract and your central nervous system. Signals flow both ways. Your brain influences your gut and your gut influences your brain. This communication doesn't pause when you fall asleep. Your gut continues sending information to your brain about its status, and your brain continues modulating gut function based on sleep stage and circadian timing. Gastric signals influence central nervous system activity. Your stomach is constantly sending information upward, through the vagus nerve, and through hormonal signals in your bloodstream. These signals tell your brain about nutrient status, inflammation levels, and tissue health. During sleep, these signals can actually influence sleep quality itself. Gastric discomfort, inflammation, or distension can disrupt sleep architecture, reducing deep sleep and increasing awakenings. Sleep and the microbiome. Sleep loss alters gut microbiota rhythms. Here's something fascinating. The bacteria living in your gut have their own circadian rhythms. Different bacterial species are more or less active at different times of day. These rhythms are influenced by your eating patterns, your sleep-wake cycle, and your own circadian clock. When you don't sleep well, these microbial rhythms become disrupted. Bacterial populations that should be active during certain hours remain dormant, while others that should be quiet become active at the wrong times. Microbial metabolite changes promote inflammation. Your gut bacteria produce thousands of different metabolites, molecules that result from their metabolic activity. Some of these metabolites are beneficial: short-chain fatty acids that feed your intestinal cells, vitamins that you can't produce yourself, molecules that regulate immune function. Others can be inflammatory or toxic if they accumulate. When bacterial rhythms are disrupted by poor sleep, the balance of these metabolites shifts toward the inflammatory ones. Quality sleep stabilizes microbiota composition. Good sleep doesn't just maintain bacterial rhythms. It also helps stabilize the overall composition of your gut microbiome. The relative abundances of different bacterial species stay more consistent. Beneficial species maintain their populations. Potentially harmful species are kept in check. This stability is important because a stable microbiome is generally a healthy microbiome. Circadian disruption. Circadian misalignment disrupts acid, motility, and hormones. When your circadian rhythm is disrupted, whether from irregular sleep schedules, shift work, jet lag, or even just staying up late with artificial light, the effects cascade through your entire digestive system. Acid secretion becomes erratic. The normal pattern of motility changes gets disrupted. Hormone release becomes mistimed. Your stomach loses its temporal coordination. Shift work increases GI disorder risk. People who work night shifts have significantly higher rates of stomach ulcers, gastroesophageal reflux disease, irritable bowel syndrome, and other digestive disorders. This isn't just because of stress or poor diet. It's directly related to the circadian disruption. Their stomachs are trying to be active when they should be in repair mode, and trying to rest when they should be processing food. The internal clock and the external demands are in constant conflict. The bidirectional nature. What makes the gut-brain axis particularly interesting during sleep is its bidirectional nature. Yes, your brain controls your gut, determining when your stomach should be active, when it should slow down, coordinating the release of digestive hormones. But your gut also controls your brain, influencing sleep quality, mood, and even cognitive function through the signals it sends upward. This creates feedback loops. Good sleep supports healthy gut function, which sends positive signals to the brain, which helps maintain good sleep. Poor sleep disrupts gut function, which sends inflammatory or distress signals to the brain, which can further disrupt sleep. You can enter either a virtuous cycle or a vicious cycle, and which one you're in can have profound effects on both digestive health and overall well-being. The microbiome's influence. The gut microbiome adds another layer of complexity. These bacteria aren't just passive residents, they're active participants in your body's physiology. They produce neurotransmitters including serotonin, GABA, and dopamine. They produce molecules that influence immune function. They compete with pathogenic bacteria for space and resources. They even produce molecules that directly influence sleep. When sleep is disrupted and bacterial rhythms become abnormal, the production of these bioactive molecules changes. You might produce less of the beneficial neurotransmitters. Inflammatory molecules might increase. The barrier function of your intestinal lining might weaken, allowing bacterial products to leak into your bloodstream that shouldn't be there. All of these changes can then feed back to affect sleep quality, creating that vicious cycle. The evolutionary perspective. Why is the gut-brain connection so strong during sleep? From an evolutionary perspective, it makes sense. Sleep is a vulnerable state. Your conscious awareness is reduced. Your ability to respond to threats is diminished. In this vulnerable state, your body needs to monitor internal conditions carefully. Your gut is one of your most important immune barriers and one of your primary sources of danger from pathogens and toxins. Maintaining that gut-brain communication during sleep allows your body to detect problems early, inflammation, infection, toxin exposure, and respond appropriately, even waking you if necessary. The modern challenge. Modern life creates unprecedented challenges for this ancient system. Artificial light disrupts circadian rhythms. Irregular schedules confuse both our internal clocks and our bacterial residents. Stress remains chronically elevated. Processed foods lack the fiber that beneficial bacteria need. Antibiotics periodically wipe out large portions of our microbiome. All of these factors can disrupt the delicate coordination between sleep, gut function, and microbial health. But here's the encouraging part. This system is also remarkably responsive to positive changes. Improving sleep hygiene, darkness at night, consistent timing, adequate duration, can rapidly improve both gut function and microbiome health. The feedback loops can run in the positive direction just as easily as the negative. Better sleep leads to better gut health, which supports better sleep, which further improves gut health. The gut-brain axis and the microbiome remind us that your stomach doesn't exist in isolation. It's embedded in complex networks of communication and mutual influence. What happens in your brain affects your stomach. What happens in your stomach affects your brain. The bacteria in your gut influence both. And sleep, quality, consistent, adequate sleep, is the thread that ties all of these systems together, allowing them to coordinate and function optimally. With this understanding of the complex nighttime ecosystem of your stomach, we're ready to turn toward morning, the time when your stomach begins transitioning back to its daytime mode, preparing to handle another day of eating and digestion. Morning transition and long-term health. We've journeyed through the night with your stomach, watching it slow down in the evening, maintain its protective and repair functions through the dark hours, coordinate with your brain and microbiome, and now finally we arrive at morning. This is when your stomach begins preparing for its daytime role again, when the overnight work pays off, and when the quality of the night reveals itself in how you feel and function during the day. The dawn shift. Gastric acid secretion begins tapering toward daytime patterns. As morning approaches, that nighttime peak in acid production starts to decline. Your stomach is shifting from its protective high-acid state back toward a more meal-responsive pattern. Acid will still be produced, but now it will be more directly tied to food intake rather than following that automatic circadian peak. Ghrelin peaks before habitual breakfast time. Your hunger hormone knows what time you usually eat breakfast, and it starts rising about 30 to 60 minutes beforehand. This is your stomach preparing you to seek food. It's sending signals to your brain. Time to eat. If you always eat breakfast at 7, you'll start feeling hungry around 6:30, right on schedule. Leptin and ghrelin balance depends on adequate sleep. Here's where last night's sleep quality starts to matter. Leptin is your satiety hormone. It tells you when you're full. When you sleep well, leptin and ghrelin maintain their proper balance. You feel hungry at appropriate times and you feel satisfied after eating reasonable amounts. But when you sleep poorly, this balance breaks down. Ghrelin goes up, leptin goes down, and the result is increased hunger and difficulty feeling full. Poor sleep increases next-day hunger signaling. Studies consistently show that after a night of inadequate sleep, people feel hungrier the next day, particularly for high-calorie, high-carbohydrate foods. This isn't a character flaw or lack of willpower. It's physiology. Your stomach and your appetite-regulating hormones are responding to the sleep deprivation by pushing you toward more food intake. Overnight fasting length shapes hormone reset. The length of time between your last meal and your first meal matters for resetting these hormonal patterns. A longer overnight fast, say 12 to 14 hours, gives your stomach a clear signal about timing and helps maintain robust circadian patterns in hormone release. Very short fasts or nighttime eating blurs these signals. Motility returns. Morning gastric motility reflects nighttime circadian alignment. How easily your stomach kicks back into active mode in the morning depends partly on how well aligned your circadian rhythms were during the night. If you slept at consistent times in darkness with proper overnight fasting, your stomach transitions smoothly. If your circadian rhythms were disrupted, the morning transition can be sluggish. Misaligned sleep can slow morning digestion. People who stay up very late or sleep at irregular times often report that they can't eat much in the morning, that breakfast feels uncomfortable, or that their digestion feels off in the early hours. This is misalignment. Their stomach's circadian clock is still telling it to be in nighttime mode even though they're awake and trying to eat. Regular sleep improves predictability of bowel habits. This extends beyond just your stomach to your entire digestive tract. Consistent sleep timing leads to more consistent bowel movements. Your body learns the pattern and coordinates accordingly. Irregular sleep leads to irregular bowel habits. Sometimes constipation, sometimes diarrhea, rarely the comfortable predictability that comes with good circadian alignment. The hydration and activity connection. Adequate hydration supports ongoing mucus protection. When you wake up, you're typically somewhat dehydrated from the overnight fasting period. Drinking water in the morning helps restore fluid balance, which supports continued mucus production and helps your stomach prepare for food. That morning glass of water isn't just about feeling refreshed, it's supporting your digestive system. Exercise earlier in the day improves nocturnal stomach repair. Here's an interesting connection. Physical activity during the day, particularly in the morning or early afternoon, improves sleep quality that night. Better sleep means better stomach repair. So, morning exercise creates a positive feedback loop. Activity during the day leads to better sleep at night, which leads to better stomach health, which supports better overall energy and function, which makes exercise easier. Long-term consequences. Chronic sleep restriction raises GERD risk. Gastroesophageal reflux disease isn't just about what you eat. It's also about how you sleep. People with chronic sleep problems have significantly higher rates of GERD. The mechanisms we've discussed, reduced LES tone, decreased melatonin protection, disrupted acid patterns, all contribute to this increased risk over time. Long-term poor sleep increases ulcer disease risk. Stomach ulcers develop when the balance between protective factors and damaging factors tips too far toward damage. Chronic poor sleep weakens protection, less melatonin, reduced mucus, impaired blood flow, while potentially increasing damage, higher stress, more inflammation, worse healing. Over years, this imbalance increases ulcer risk. Sleep hygiene stabilizes melatonin rhythms. This is one of the most practical takeaways. Good sleep hygiene, darkness at night, consistent timing, avoiding screens before bed, creating a cool and quiet sleep environment, directly supports healthy melatonin production. Healthy melatonin supports stomach protection. It's a direct link between behavior and gastric health. Stable melatonin benefits stomach protection and metabolism. Beyond just acid regulation and antioxidant effects, melatonin influences metabolic function in your stomach. It affects how efficiently your stomach processes nutrients, how it responds to hormonal signals, and how it coordinates with the rest of your digestive system. The complete cycle. The stomach transitions from repair mode to feeding readiness. This is the culmination of the entire night's work. Your stomach has spent hours in maintenance mode, slowing down motility, managing acid, repairing tissue, coordinating with your brain and microbiome. Now, as morning light arrives and waking occurs, it shifts back. Motility increases. Acid secretion becomes meal responsive. Hormones signal readiness for food. The transition is complete. Coordinated overnight repair supports daytime digestion efficiency. The better your stomach heals during the night, the more efficiently it can function during the day. Complete healing means stronger mucus barriers, healthier epithelial cells, better blood flow, and optimal enzyme production. All of these factors make digestion smoother, more comfortable, and more efficient. Healthy sleep improves resilience to dietary stressors. Everyone occasionally eats something that challenges their digestive system, something too spicy, too fatty, or just too much. When your stomach is well maintained from good sleep, it handles these challenges better. The protective mechanisms are robust. The repair systems are ready. You have more resilience. Better sleep lowers functional GI disorder risk. Functional disorders, like functional dyspepsia or irritable bowel syndrome, involve real symptoms without obvious structural abnormalities. Many of these disorders are linked to disrupted gut-brain communication, altered motility patterns, and increased visceral sensitivity. Good sleep reduces the risk of developing these conditions by maintaining proper coordination and communication. Morning stomach sensations reflect nighttime healing success. How your stomach feels when you wake up, comfortable and ready for breakfast versus bloated and uncomfortable, tells you something about how well the overnight repair went. Consistent morning comfort is a sign that your nighttime stomach maintenance is working well. The bigger picture of health. The gut clock resets for the next digestive cycle. Each morning represents a fresh start for your stomach's circadian rhythm. The overnight period has reset the timing signals. Your stomach is ready to begin another 24-hour cycle of digestion, protection, and repair. Circadian-aligned sleep supports long-term mucosal health. Over months and years, consistently good sleep maintains the structural integrity of your stomach lining. The cells remain healthy. The tight junctions remain tight. The mucus layer remains robust. This is how you prevent the gradual deterioration that can come with aging or chronic stress. Protective barriers are fully restored by morning. When overnight repair is successful, you wake with your stomach's defenses fully restored. The mucus layer is thick and complete. The epithelial surface is healed. Blood flow is healthy. Antioxidant systems are recharged. Your stomach is ready for another day. Acid secretion becomes meal responsive again. Rather than following that automatic circadian pattern, acid production now responds more directly to food intake. When you eat, acid increases. Between meals, it decreases. This meal-responsive pattern is more efficient for digestion and more comfortable for you. Motility increases with waking and movement. As you get up, move around, and begin your day, your stomach's motility ramps up. The contractions become stronger and more frequent. Gastric emptying speeds up. Your stomach is shifting from maintenance mode to active digestion mode. The stomach prepares for the first meal of the day. Everything we've discussed, the hormone signaling, the increased motility, the shift in acid patterns, is preparing your stomach to receive, process, and digest your first meal. If the overnight cycle went well, breakfast will be comfortable and digestion will be efficient. Aging and preservation. Overnight repair preserves digestive capacity with age. One of the challenges of aging is maintaining digestive function. Acid production tends to decrease. Mucosal defenses weaken. Motility can slow. But good sleep throughout life helps preserve these functions. The nightly repair prevents the accelerated deterioration that can come from chronic sleep deprivation. Regular rhythms reduce cumulative gastric stress. Consistent sleep timing means your stomach experiences predictable patterns of activity and rest. This predictability reduces stress on the system. There's less confusion, less mistimed signaling, less conflict between what your stomach is programmed to do and what it's being asked to do. Sleep-fed repair supports immune defense in the gut. Your stomach is part of your immune system. The acid kills pathogens, the mucus prevents invasion, the gut-associated lymphoid tissue fights infections. Maintaining these immune functions requires ongoing repair and maintenance, which happens primarily during sleep. The stomach completes its nightly maintenance cycle. Every night, your stomach goes through this complete cycle. Evening transition, nighttime maintenance, protective acid production, tissue repair, coordination with brain and microbiome, and morning preparation. Each cycle builds on the last one. Miss a night and it's not catastrophic. Miss many nights and the effects accumulate. Waking digestion depends on the quality of the night before. This is the ultimate takeaway. How you feel, how comfortable your digestion is, how efficiently you process food today. All of this depends significantly on how well you slept last night. Your waking stomach is a reflection of your sleeping stomach. Conclusion. We've followed your stomach through an entire night, from the moment you finished dinner to the moment you woke up. We've seen it slow down, produce acid, protect itself, repair damage, communicate with your brain, coordinate with trillions of bacteria, and prepare for another day. Your stomach never truly rests. It simply changes its focus. The 100 facts we've covered tonight all point to a single profound truth. Sleep isn't separate from digestion. Sleep is when some of the most important digestive processes happen. The repair, the protection, the coordination. These aren't optional extras. They're essential maintenance that your stomach absolutely requires. Poor sleep doesn't just make you tired. It compromises your stomach's ability to protect itself, heal itself, and function efficiently. Good sleep isn't just about feeling rested. It's about giving your stomach the time and conditions it needs to maintain itself. Your stomach is remarkably resilient. It can handle occasional late meals, occasional poor sleep, occasional dietary indiscretions. But it thrives on consistency, consistent meal timing, consistent sleep schedules, consistent overnight fasting periods. This consistency allows all the intricate systems we've discussed to work together optimally. So tonight, as you prepare for sleep, remember that you're not just resting your mind and muscles. You're giving your stomach permission to shift into maintenance mode. You're allowing melatonin to rise and protect your gastric lining. You're creating the conditions for overnight repair. You're supporting the microbial rhythms in your gut. You're coordinating your gut-brain axis. You're preserving your digestive capacity for tomorrow and for decades to come. Your stomach has a night shift to work. Let it work in peace. Good night.